Today's lesson is drawing is drawing. So any drawing can teach you something. Everything can teach you something. Here's the great cartooning album of the New Yorker magazine, which has the best single panel cartoons. This one is from 75 to 85. Quick flip will show you so many different styles of drawing. All of them are drawings in service of a gag. All of them have a staging such that could this gag be staged any other way and still be funny and read in a way that you know what's going on with just a glance, just a look. The answer is that the New Yorker cartoonists and the editors were so good at this that there isn't any other way you could stage these gags. They're perfectly staged. Keep this in mind when you're doing drawings for your project, if you're storyboarding for someone. These are the greatest cartoons ever done, and you can get collections of New Yorker cartoons going back to the beginning all the way up to the present day. Should be able to find them at your library or, as usual, on the Amazon. So there's a New Yorker cartoon album. Norman Rockwell, considered by many to be America's greatest illustrator. Although when I was in fine art school, he was quite looked down upon because he did commercial art. But looking at his drawings, there's something of his studio. He had to do drawings before he did the paintings, and you can find in here lots of drawings that are studies for paintings. You'll find a lot of paintings that were done. You'll see color studies. He worked in oil. There's a couple pages in here that are just drawings, and he's finding the best pose for characters. Here's one of soldiers, and you look at the drawing there. Such great poses, great attitudes. You can find lots of books on Rockwell's art. This is just a study, so it's not a finish. Just really great stuff. This is a Donald Duck album of comic strips of Donald Duck, a bunch of Sunday strips by Taliaferro. And you see here lots of great drawing of Donald and his nephews, sometimes without words, but all worth a look and worth studying if you want to get into comic strips. Funny animal comic strips. You'll get tons of ideas here of how to draw, how to make things look right, how to stage gags, how to build gags up to a climax. Here's a heavy one. This came out back in the 70s, I think, when I was in art school, and it's How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way by Stan Lee, the writer-editor, and John Buscema, the greatest comic book artist after Jack Kirby. And in here are all the lessons about how to draw comic books. Simple shapes turned into more complicated shapes. Boxes turn into cars. Boxes and cylinders turn into a gun. Cylinders turn into an airplane. How to do perspective. How to do perspective shots. How to line up characters. This shot is broken down into its basics. This shot broken down into its basics. Everything you need to know about how to draw is in here. Breaking characters down into simple shapes to go from this to this. The kingpin starts as simple shapes then you add details. This is the book that shows you how to do it, how to do action poses. Stick figures, the greatest. They use stick figures. Stick figures are the way to go. More stick figures. Sketching just to keep limber. Drawing for the love of drawing. Building up from stick figures into characters with volume, muscles, and details. More stick figures. How to do foreshortening, how to break those rough drawings down into cylinders and shapes. How to draw human heads. How to compose your panels with purpose. Breaks it down into why is this character here, and why does this work and this one does not. How to make comic pages. How to make them more dynamic, starting with stick figures and building up into more complex shapes. How to do inking with a brush. Not easy. This example is a well-inked panel. This one is over-inked. As you see, there's so many lines trying to show you what's important and what's not, that they all become important and they all blend together. Here you see hardly any lines, but this nowadays would be considered really good because all they need is to add color to it. Why do we ink certain shapes with dark around them, the lightness of the coat, but the shadow around him, we still see the man with the shadow around him. There's danger. So, one of the great early books, this one came out some years later, Action Cartooning by Ben Caldwell. A really great book. I've had this a long time. And this again, how to gather your material so you can do the drawing, how to draw faces starting with basic shapes and build up into other characters, how to do the body. So this is more cartoon action type characters rather than realistic Neil Adams, John Buscema characters. Building up from stick figures, adding volumes, doing funny stuff with your characters, twisting and turning. So we got another great book to look into. So that's 5 books. So you may find these at your local used bookstore or even at the library or at Amazon. So keep drawing and keep having fun.